502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest, Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman's in the house. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm wonderful and glad to have you with us. Let me
Thank you.
remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And we are celebrating today National Caviar Day today. National Caviar Day. Do you like caviar? Have you ever tried caviar on a baked potato? It didn't get any better than that. That's a fun one. So try it out if you've never tried that one. It is a good combination. Checking out the markets this morning. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 85 points as we speak. Oil up 19 cents a barrel. U.S. 10-year Treasury down a nice chunk, 2.265 on the yield, which is not good news for our seniors who are living off of the fixed income from that 10-year Treasury. It is good news for those who are looking to buy or refinance their houses, because that's what drives that mortgage-backed security market. We share that with you on a regular basis. June import prices fell 0.2% in May. That was expected. The lack of ability of the Republicans to get things done in Congress, that was not expected. Probably has something to do with where the Dow Jones Industrial Average is going. Healthcare fails once again. I guess it still is the idea. The repeal and replace failed because the Republicans can't get together on anything. Obviously, Rand Paul, basically the same as any Democrat out there, doesn't want to do anything. Either get 100% of what he wants or absolutely nothing. And I would say to him,
You're absolutely useless.
Absolutely useless. I mean, unbelievable. So we'll see if anything at all happens, but I wouldn't hold out too much hope for it. Watching more of the news, you gotta love it. Chuck Schumer in the news again. Talk about absolutely useless. Actually, if Schumer did nothing, he'd probably be better than what he does now. But there are reports that he's actually admitting that Obama health payments violated the Constitution.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Anybody surprised about that? Forcing us to buy something that we don't want, maybe doesn't fit our family's needs, and calling it a tax. Unbelievable. But they continue to do it. They continue to press for it. I liked one of the comments that President Trump made. Let it just keep on going. Unfortunately, there's going to be people that get hurt on it, but let it keep on going until it just totally fails, and see what happens when people have no health insurance at all. See if that particular program is better than nothing at all. Talking about another interesting individual, Senator Blumenthal. He's from Connecticut. Yes, of course, he's a Democrat from Connecticut.
So I know whose ass to kick.
Putting out another bill. I love this one. It's a veterans push for protective federal foreclosure laws. And basically what Blumenthal is saying is veterans should not be subject to foreclosure for a year. Now, the interesting part about that, most people are going to say, okay, got veterans in there, we're protecting veterans, must be good. It's kind of like, have you ever heard him say that every bill in the world has a benefit of kids in schools? Same issue. When you start talking about it's just a grandstand, because the lowest foreclosure rate of any loan in the United States, lowest foreclosure rate of any loan in the United States is the VA loan, the veterans loan. think it has anything to do with these are citizens, these are people out there that are really, they put it all on the line. They're going to go to work and they're going to make sure that they make those payments. They're going to give up something else to make sure that they keep their obligations. It's called responsibility, and that's where the veterans are. Just amazing how, so you got Blumenthal out there grandstanding, kind of like Schumer, same difference, right? No big deal. But, you know, anything we can do to protect the veterans, but I wonder if they're ever going to talk about how many people are really involved in this issue. Just a thought. There's already laws on the books. You can't foreclose on a active military person who's deployed. It's already on the books. See what this is all about. We'll continue on right there. Next efforts by Mitch McConnell are the Senate leader. I guess do you call him the leader of the Senate when they don't get in, when nobody follows? I don't know. I don't know who he's leading, but the issue here, I would have just said, you know, something that last bill they had, or the one before that, put it up for a vote. Let's get people on record, not just out there talking to the media saying I'll keep Obamacare or get rid of Obamacare. Put it up for a vote. Let's see what they really have to say. And it's very interesting when you watch what's going on. You have several Senate Republicans at dinner with the president, and at the exact same time, that's when Republican Senators Mike Lee and Jerry Moran come out and say that they cannot support the bill. Maybe they just didn't get invited to dinner, and maybe that's why they were upset about it, and that's why they came out at that exact time. Moving right along, Al Gore keeping himself relevant as well. The number one issue we have to worry about in America by far, according to the former vice president, global warming. Number one issue by far. We've got a healthcare system that's imploding. We've got nukes being attempted to be built in North Korea. We've got citizens being taken hostage in Iran. And the most important thing that we have to worry about is global warming. And there's some people that say that, you know, it's just a natural life cycle. So we'll see what happens there. But I think maybe Mr. Gore is out of touch. Well, actually, I know Mr. Gore is out of touch according to a Bloomberg poll that says 90% of Americans, now we don't get 90% of Americans to believe in anything or to agree on anything, but 90% of Americans don't think global warming is pressing. 90%, again, we don't get them to agree on anything and they get 90% here. Holy cow. Moving right along. Did you check the news yesterday? I don't know if you followed. I shared with you quite a bit from the last Anaheim City Council meeting. Well, I guess yesterday they decided that the county, because if you ever drive along the Santa Ana riverbed, you find that there's a new community living there. Pretty interesting. I don't know if they got permits for all that housing there. Probably not. But the county says they're going to evict the homeless encampment along the Santa Ana riverbed by the Honda Center now, but the homeless say they're just going to go to the other side. Interesting. We'll see what happens over there. I know I got some heat when I said that, you know, if it was me, I couldn't imagine just turning on some sprinklers or, you know, a few fire hoses over there. Wouldn't that solve that problem? I'm not politically correct. I've never claimed to be, but it might just solve the problem. Make it undesirable. That's the issue. I mean, we just heard yesterday how the Orange County Family Justice Center helped some folks who wanted a hand up, not a hand out, and that was a homeless family. Think about that. I wonder what are some of the other options over there. But again, you can't get 90% of the people to agree on anything. We just talked about that. We'll see what happens with that. I like the idea of, why is it that we have so many people saying, well, the homeless have a right to be there, yet those folks that are paying taxes feel unsafe going into their parks now. They feel unsafe going down. I just saw this the other day. There was somebody who said they don't want to take their kids on a bike ride down the riverbed because of that environment. They don't want to have to explain that to their kids. Is that right? Who's protecting those rights? Where's the outrage for that side of the story? You know, I've said this before. I understand the situation. In Sacramento, they can waste money on anything. But we've got the mental health issue. Maybe that can solve where instead of where they took money away from mental health, I know they want to build a train that goes from nowhere that anybody wants to be to nowhere anybody wants to go. So we've got to put billions and billions of dollars there. How about using some of that money for the mental health issues that are in our society? Couldn't there be a better solution to this? We'll continue our conversation on that. I don't know that we're going to solve it here, but I did see that in the news. Thought I would share it with you as we continue on our journey and conversations this morning. I'm going to talk about what's going on, anything new at the Anaheim Fire and Rescue Department. We'll chat about with the chief on that one. Just finished fireworks season, see how that went. And we've got upcoming events. There's always something new going on. We learned a little bit yesterday about background checks. People going into that line of work. Is it something that people really want to do? We're going to talk to the chief about that as well. Thinking of selling your real estate? Well, it might be a good time. We're going to talk about when is a good time for you to sell. The most accurate way to calculate how much you can afford. There's an article out there. I think it might be mostly myth, but we'll talk about that as well and some common mistakes investors make. All that and more. You can reach us anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
What if your family business could help clothe a less fortunate family? Or your restaurant could feed truly hungry people? What if you could help to comfort the lonely? Plant sustainable resources where nothing has ever grown before? Or make a child's lifelong wish come true? What if all you had to do was simply do nothing more than what your business already does every day? Would you do it? Introducing Processing for a Cause, a unique program that turns a percentage of your business's credit card volume into ongoing donation dollars for nonprofit organizations and foundations. Simply switch your credit card processing provider to Processing for a Cause and begin supporting a worthy cause today. The process is simple, and the cause will change lives forever. Processing for a Cause.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And as a consumer advocate, I like to take a look and see what's out there, what are people talking about. And one of the reports I wanted to talk to you about this morning, that's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage, and they are always looking out to try and find a way to get those who want a new home to own their own home to get a home. Saw this report as Yahoo Finance, and it says follow the 2836 rule if you're trying to buy a home, buying your dream home. And boy, the 2836 rule sounds great if you're living in Tennessee. Now, if you're living in California, the 2836, or if you've ever gone to college or nowadays gone to college, where we see so many people with student loan debt, 2836 rule basically says your housing expense should not exceed 28% of your income. So if you're earning $60,000 a year, give or take, you should be spending, this would be your mortgage, taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance if you have any, homeowners association, about $1,275. That's if you're earning $60,000 a year, $1,275 a month. Not sure you're going to get a whole lot more than a garage for that. Think about that concept. Now, the 36% means when you add in your student loan debt, you add in your car payments, you add in any credit card payments, any other fixed debt should not exceed 36% of your income. Do you think we're going to ever sell a house based on those guidelines? Do you think you're going to ever own a house based on those guidelines in Southern California? Fannie Mae just came out with new numbers in this current month where they're going to allow your back end to go to 50% debt to income ratio because they realize that you can't live off that old 36. So when you see stories like this, and again, this comes from Yahoo Finance, you have to wonder what part of the country this Yahoo is living in that wrote the story. That is the Mortgage Minute, again, brought to you. Don't listen to it because you don't need to be there. It's all about what is best for your family, what your goals and objectives are, and maybe if you really just want to have a roof over your head. That's the idea. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage. Let's get into more interesting information. Randy Bruegman's with us, Anaheim Fire and Rescue, the Chief. Welcome.
Hey, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad to have you in here chatting with us, giving us some updates on what's going on with the Fire and Rescue Department. I mean, we probably had a busy weekend a couple weeks ago.
Well, we did. You know, it was 4th of July, and it's it's a great holiday, of course, but it also is a little challenging for us with as we have brought fireworks back to the city. We've also seen a pretty substantial increase in the use of illegal fireworks. So we ramp up for that.
That's an interesting question. So the reintroduction of the legal, the safe and sane, increases the usage of the illegal stuff as well?
Yeah, and we're not the only community that has seen that. That's a kind of a well-known fact in our industry, that once you bring back safe and sane, if you haven't had it, or if you haven't had it for a while, it tends to lead to an increased use in illegal. And I think it's somewhat human nature. As we were chatting off air, it's almost like when the first cars were built, and we had to build cars that went faster and faster and faster, and I think that's somewhat human nature. We're seeing the same thing with fireworks. It's maybe the first year it's good to go safe and sane, and then Uncle Bubba comes over and brings the stuff that he bought in Nevada, and then it gets a little bit of a party going. So we saw a lot more usage of illegal fireworks this year than we have in the past 2 years since fireworks were brought back. So we're just trying to plan for what happens next year and maybe look at some different approaches of how we go out and try and enforce and mitigate this.
It seems fascinating to me because I would have thought that those people that want fireworks or enjoy the fireworks, that just from maybe I'm too square. Because I would say that if I wanted fireworks and if I had the option of legal or illegal, I'd rather go the legal route if there is that option. Mm-hmm. But it's not the case.
No, and I think there's almost a psychological issue going on here, because I think people think, well, if there's a lot of safe and sane going on, then it gives me cover to do the illegal stuff.
Okay.
And we've seen it kind of escalate the last couple of years. So and we had, I think, 15, 16 enforcement teams out on the 4th. And frankly, they were just overwhelmed. They were going from call to call, and it's actually very difficult to catch people in the act of using illegal fireworks, because they often will post somebody at the corner so they know when we're rounding the corner and everybody scatters. So you may actually confiscate the illegal firework, but in often cases you don't see who's actually shooting it because they're all gone by the time you roll in. So
do you have to, being that you've got, I mean, obviously there's only so much you can do. You talk about having, what, 15 teams out there looking for this in a city with the amount of square miles that we have. It's like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, almost. Yeah,
so do you have to go to the areas that are going to be most susceptible to the next? You know, I don't know where that would be, but I mean, if you've got a densely populated area that's got newer buildings that are supposedly safer, okay, we might let it go in that area, whereas in an area that's got more vegetation, that there's a higher likelihood of it creating a fire, major fire.
Yeah, we pre-position the enforcement teams based upon what we've seen the previous year, so we kind of know where the hot spots are, so we try and do that. And then we also bring up additional suppression crews, especially for the east end. So we'll have our Type 3 wildland units in service. I think we had 2 in service and a couple of extra chief officers on duty that night, so that we can ramp up a little bit quicker than we normally would with that type of equipment. So
very, very interesting how that goes. And why don't you brag a little bit? I heard that one of, 40 departments that are a level 1 department in the country?
Yeah, in November of 15, we were actually notified that we had received our Class 1 fire rating. And so there's only, I think, less than 200 departments that have Class 1 rating in the United States. But on top of that, we are also an internationally accredited fire agency, and I believe right now there are only 46 agencies in the U.S. that have both of those designations. So we're pretty proud of that.
Should be.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work to get both of those, and of course the ISO rating dates back to the late 1800s when the conflagrations were going on, and it's really built around your ability to suppress fires. So they look at your water supply, your staffing, and your equipment and your training, as well as your communications center. The accreditation process looks at 10 categories with over 250 performance indicators, and it's really a continuous quality improvement process. So you basically tear into your organization, look at everything, do assessments on it, and so it's a very holistic approach to how to run a very credible and effective fire organization today.
And it's constantly changing, right? I mean, a couple of years ago, we had all of our fireworks here were all concentrated in one area. Was there any new challenges to having the fireworks stands throughout the city as opposed to having them concentrated at the Honda Center?
No, we didn't really run into any issues with having the booths as we did this year. That we had 16 booths. You know, the first year we had the one at the Honda Center. Then they split. Honda Center did 2 mega booths, and this year we had 16. But the booth operators, we brought them in for a day of training, a few hours of training, and they were all very responsible. We actually inspected them a couple times a day, and we had no issues with them. So they did an excellent job. My hat's off to the nonprofits that were chosen to do that. They did a fine job.
It's a lot of work. I mean, I shared with you before we went on air. I used to do that when I was in youth group way back when.
It is a lot.
And people don't realize how much work it is, but I'm sure it brings more work to the department also, because even then we had a lot of inspections. You never knew when the inspectors were coming, which is great.
Yeah.
Right? So you had to always be ready. You had to always have your fire extinguishers handy and the adult supervision and the whole 9 yards. So it was a lot of extra work for the department as well.
Yeah, we sent out our inspectors in the morning, and then we had a crew drive by that was in their first in areas. So we just did a couple of stops. So it wasn't too labor intensive for us, and fortunately all the groups were very responsible. When I was up north in another department, we had 35 booths, and there were some groups that were always trying to slip in illegal stuff.
Yeah, a little bit of side business there.
Yeah, so you always had to be very forthright with them and be on your toes. But no, this year went very well with the booths.
And now the one thing that I wanted to ask about was, with bringing it closer to the east part of the county or the city where we're still not illegal. It's still illegal. Did having fireworks stands closer to this area have any effect in the area? I mean, I kind of laughed when I saw that Canyon High School was going to have a fireworks stand, yet fireworks are illegal at Canyon High School.
Correct.
So did it bring more to the Safe and Sane to the east part of the city?
We didn't see a real uptick with the Safe and Sane out here. We did see an uptick with the illegal usage out here, which is a big concern, especially this year with all the grass that we had from after the heavy rains this
Lots of rains that dried out. And
yeah, I mean, we've got some extremely tall grass. Actually, it's very similar to what we had when we had the Freeway Complex fire several years ago. So that much, grass comparatively to what we had then. So, and that's why we're already seeing this very high fire activity this far south earlier in the year.
We've talked in the past about the amount of equipment that you hire, that you bring in, and that you're constantly, allocating budget dollars and for new equipment and relocating firehouses. When we come back, I want to chat with you. Does budget dollars go to maybe permanent animals? Right. I mean, we saw the sheep out here for helping out. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that when we come back as well, because I know the kids love seeing those, and they actually do a legitimately good job. So we'll talk about that when we come back with the Chief. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Thinking of selling? Should you act now? We'll talk about that, and common mistakes investors make. If you've got questions for the Chief, go ahead and put them right there on our Facebook page. I am monitoring that. I saw yours, Robin Rosillo. I saw yours as well. So we'll take a look at those and see what we can do on them as well. So make sure you continue listening. As you can reach us anytime. Off-air number, though, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details. 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender. Licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Do you own real estate or have assets over $150,000? Do you know one of your heirs will be the probate courts and the IRS? If you don't have a living trust, you will go through probate. Call Heritage Financial Services toll free at 1-855-434-7400 for a free review. Check us out on Facebook, Heritage Financial Service in Lake Forest, California. That's 1-855-434-7400. Again, 1-855-434-7400.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Real-Time Real Estate segment being brought to you by the VIP Hero program. It is one of my favorite programs that I hear about. Maybe it's because I helped create it. I got to have a little sense of ownership there, but being the flag waver that I am, and I'm not ashamed of it, our veterans, active, retired, reserve, first responders, law enforcement, fire, nurses, our teachers, all get discounts through the VIP Hero program, $10,000 to $20,000 in discounts. We've got the real estate professionals that will give discounts. The lenders will give discounts. Lawyers will give discounts. Yeah, even lawyers will give discounts. All these folks are on board with saying thank you to those who are out there putting it on the line so we can all do what we do. And if you're thinking of selling, should you act now? That's the question. If you thought about selling your house this year, now more than ever may be the time to do it. Inventory of homes for sale well below historic norms. Buyer demand is skyrocketing. We're still in high school when we learn the concept of supply and demand. Best time to sell something is when the supply of that item is low and demand for that item is high. That defines today's real estate market, according to Lawrence Yun, the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. Bottom line, as a potential seller, you are in the driver's seat right now, and it might be the time to hit the gas. Give me a call at 800-306-1990 if you want to be put in touch with a great real estate agent, and if you are one of those who qualify as under the VIP Hero program, I'll put you in touch with the agents that are the ones out there giving the discounts and helping save money, get you into the home of your dreams. We're going to continue our conversation. Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman's in the house. We're having a great conversation about everything that I come up with and that you're posting right there on our Facebook page as well. But before the break, Chief, we were talking about the idea of I don't know how many areas they do it in, but up here in the hills, I know last year, the year before, and I know over at the demonstration that they had at the fire department, they brought the goats out. Mm-hmm. And the young people just love watching the goats, but that's really more than just an enjoyment factor. They really perform a service.
Yeah, they really do. We just had them out at a herd of about 120 goats for probably about two and a half months at Peliconey Park, and it was very overgrown, and they did a great job of eating all the vegetation up over the course of that time. And then we usually come back in with the Conservation Corps, and they kind of help clean up the rest of the brush and the bush and do a really good job of the final cleanup. So yeah, they're very effective. We have a long-term, we have a master agreement with, he's called Johnny the Goat Guy. And,
pretty simple name.
Yeah, and he runs about 4,000 to 5,000 goats. This is what his job is. He's got a really large business, so he's got herds out all throughout California, and they do a really good job.
And just to the young people, I know initially there was some concern along Santa Ana Canyon and Anaheim area that there's going to be some traffic issues because of people wanting to pull over and watch what they were doing.
Well, we actually did. We did a little strip along Santa Ana Canyon about 2 years ago. We actually did have to do a little barricade off because people were wanting to stop and take pictures and things like that. So we did create a little traffic jam for a little bit. But yeah, in the parks that worked very well, and people were able to go back and actually increase the visitation of that park while they were there. As a lot of people just went out to see the goats.
Sure.
Yeah.
And certainly the environmentalists have to be happy with that, right? There's no chemicals or any of that kind. It's real natural.
It's very natural. They do an excellent job. So
it's a lot of fun to watch that. So you've got the station moving now?
Yeah, we had part of our strategic plan. We had identified the need to move Station 5, which is on Kramer, just north of La Palma, and so we started to search for a piece of property a couple of years ago. We found one at La Palma and Sunkist, and so we actually are breaking ground tomorrow on that station. So we've been under design work and the building permit process, so they will be under construction within the next 30 days with about an 11-month build.
So even the fire department has to go through all the design and the permit process.
Absolutely.
I bet you've got a fast track to some of the people at City Hall, though.
Well, we do have a fast track, but sometimes it doesn't make it faster. You're still working with architects and builders, so
interesting there. And new equipment on the horizon.
Yeah, we have two engines that are being built right now. We have we're just about ready to order those. We have a Type 3 that is being built and will be here in November. That's another wildland unit. We have a new truck.
The Type 3 is the one that looks like the big one, the big wheels on it.
Yeah, it sits a little higher.
Okay, yeah.
And the new truck is in production. It will be delivered probably January of next year, and it will actually probably go to Station 8 on Riverdale.
Okay.
I believe. And then we have two Type 6 units, which are small brush rigs. They have a little 250, 300-gallon tank and a small porta pump, so they're a little bit more maneuverable to get in some of the areas that even the Type 3s, the roadway is not large enough, and they can go out and do a lot of the overhaul and cleanup after the fires move through. So we've got two of those that'll be in service, I think, next month.
So has the job of the fire department changed? I mean, when I was young, we only thought about the fire department being, they go out for deal with fires. Mm-hmm. And last time you were in, we were talking about the addition of I think I refer to it as a paramedic. It might not be the right name, but individuals on the trucks. Is there more call to the department for the rescue portion or the health-related issues as opposed to structural fires, or is it still about the same?
No, it's really shifted over time. When we first got into the EMS business in the early 70s, I mean, we were probably doing 60% rescue, fire-related calls, just other type service calls, and 40% medical. Today, we do about 85% medical calls.
Wow.
And that shift has been, I think over time, people have become accustomed to having paramedics respond out, so they're much more attuned to calling 911. It has a little bit to do with our health insurance process because a lot of people don't have health insurance, didn't prior to Obamacare, and so they would wait until they were really sick.
Well, until it's really that a critical area.
And then they would call 911, and we were their primary access then into the whole healthcare system. So, and we've seen a little bit of shift in that. I think we're seeing less of that, but we're still at 85%. So we've actually engaged, I think we've talked before, we've actually have a nurse practitioner now and a paramedic that is on duty 40 hours a week, and she actually can do treat and release on a lot of patients, because her scope of practice is she can suture, replace catheters, she can give medications, she can do consults with the physicians. So a lot of about 38% of those 85% of the medical calls we go on are what we would consider low acuity. They probably don't need to go to the emergency room. That's typically the way we've always handled it. So with the CCRU, we're just injecting another form of medical care as an adjunct to what we typically have done, and we think that will become actually a larger part of our service as we move forward in the future.
Is that getting? Do you foresee that becoming a technology issue? I mean, I was just on with a friend of ours recently, and she's with, I think, LAPD, and they had a area where she was homesick. And she was able to get online on a video conference with her doctor and get treated basically without ever going to a doctor's office.
Yeah, we're actually exploring right now telemedicine in the fact of we've had a couple of hospitals reach out with our CCRU unit to engage, because we run on a lot of patients that could have a medical issue, but a lot of them have mental health issues. And so we're looking at, or exploring right now, the use of telemedicine so that we can, if they're medically cleared, we can have a teleconference with a psychiatrist or a social worker that is clinically trained to do assessments and do that in the field.
So when are we going to get to a point where people are looking at the fire departments as being, the 1800s version of the doctor with a house call?
I think we are migrating somewhat to that. How far that will go, I'm not quite sure yet, but I think the whole mobile integrated healthcare piece of fire and rescue service in the next 10 to 15 years is going to become an extremely important but growing component of the services that we offer.
It's amazing how it seems like it's our whole society is changing with the internet.
It is.
And one of the things I want to chat with you about when we come back is the amount of people getting involved in the business, in fire and rescue, that level of service business, and where are we heading with that as a career?
Okay.
So we'll chat about that as a career when we come back, and where are we going with that? We're talking to Chief Randy Bruegman, Anaheim Fire and Rescue, highly rated fire and rescue department right here in Anaheim. So we're going to continue our educational journey with the Chief. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, we'll also talk about some common mistakes investors make. You can reach us anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Isn't it time you found out the truth about FHA-insured home equity conversion? No, it's not your grandfather's reverse mortgage. This just may be the finest financial planning strategy available for all homeowners of retirement age. Helping protect what you've earned is the job of your board of directors with continued education. Major research has shown that using a HECM will significantly enhance the success rate of a retiree's portfolio and legacy. Please allow us to educate. For your complimentary consultation, call Jay Kaplan at 949-300-3855. That's 949-300-3855.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRENMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 0186945 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today being brought to you by AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. You know I'm a big proponent of the reverse mortgage. You know why I am a big proponent of the reverse mortgage? It's very, very simple. I understand it. It is not the program that your parents got or your great-grandparents got years and years ago. It's changed in the mid-'80s. They're not taking your house away from you. It is just using the equity in your property. It is nothing more than part of your asset portfolio. What other program do you know that has an optional mortgage payment? It has tax benefits so you can manage when you pay your taxes or when they're due. It has Social Security benefits so you can delay that taking of your Social Security. And you're just using part of your money and your property still stays in your estate. Think about all those issues. That's AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. 4 common mistakes investors make. The first mistake is not investing. If you're a young person and you're putting your money into the 10-year Treasury at 2.3%, you're in serious trouble because inflation is going to outpace your money. You need your money to work for you. The second big mistake is over-obsessing. Your retirement account is not a trading account. You want to rebalance it annually. You want to get good guidance. You don't want to follow what happened last year. That's where the big mistake most people make in the market is. They say, well, last year, large cap growth did really well, so I'm going to put my money in large cap growth this year. And you wonder why you're underperforming the market. I think the number is right now 40% of the Dow Jones Industrial Average gains have come from the tech sector. Don't keep your money in the tech sector. Take money out of it. Keep money there, some, but take money out of it, spread it around, and over time, you'll find it's always worked. It will work again. Third, investing. Don't worry, don't panic. If the market takes a big drop, you should always have cash on the sidelines anyway. So if the market makes a correction, which it always does correct, that's called a buying opportunity. That's how you make money in the markets. If you sell into those corrections, that's how you really get hurt. And be careful of anybody that tells you they've got a guarantee. Take a look and find out where that guarantee is coming from. Now, if it's coming from a AAA rated insurance company, that might be something that's worthwhile looking into. But if it's coming from some guy that says that I can guarantee I'll get you a 10% return on your investment, run as quick as you can, and after you get wherever you are going, call me at 800-306-1990. I want to know about it because I'm going to put law enforcement on top of that. It is illegal to say there is any guarantee of any investment other than a U.S. Treasury bond. That is the only item anybody can ever give a guarantee on is U.S. Treasuries. That is it. That's the law. So anybody that tells you different, watch out. That is the Word on Wealth segment, again brought to you by AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. We're chatting this morning. Anaheim Fire and Rescue Chief Randy Bruegman's in the house. Been chatting about all kinds of things. If you have missed it, we spoke about July 4th. We talked about animals that are doing some good work with the fire department and helping prevent fires. We talked about the migration of fire to fire and rescue and that part of the business. But let's talk about the business itself, Chief. It's a lot of people getting involved in the business.
Yeah, we still do not have a hard time with applicants as far as the number of applicants that apply. Last test, I think we had close to 1,000. apply, and we're down now. We've hired the first 25 off of that list, and we'll probably hire another 15 to 20 next year, and then we'll retest again.
Now, we heard, when we were chatting yesterday, I learned a little bit that background checks are a big issue in the police arena.
Yes.
Is it in fire as well?
Yes, we use the same background process as police do. We don't have quite as stringent requirement as far as things like drug use, but it's pretty close. So what we find when we go through and interview candidates, if they make it through, and I'll just go through the process very quickly,
sure,
just so people know. They start off with a written test, and then they have to pass a certain percentage to move on. Then we do an interview process with our line personnel, our firefighters and engineers and captains, and if they make it through that process, then they actually get to come and visit me and my chief officer, so we will interview them as well, and then we start taking them through background is their number one, so they'll fill out a 35-40 page background packet. So a background investigator is assigned to them. We use an outside firm, former police officers that are retired, that are trained to do that, and they will talk to your neighbors, your family members, all your past employers. Polygraph is also included in this process, so we find out about if they've ever stolen, if they've ever utilized drugs, anything that may pop out. They look at your social media accounts. And
social media even?
Oh, absolutely. And let me tell you, just for our young listeners today, that's a big issue. They have to be very careful about what they post. And because I've had several candidates that have been eliminated in the process just for things they've posted on social media.
And that's good to know, because there's a lot of young people out there who are believing, well, I have a First Amendment right to say what I want to say. And the fact of the matter is that part is true. They do have a First Amendment right, but somebody else has a right to or in your case, you're responsible for who walks into somebody's house at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and exactly.
Right? I mean, it's...
And so that's why we take them through, I mean, once they go through background polygraph, we take them through a psychological assessment, and then we also take them through a medical. So by the time they get through all of that, we think that we have evaluated them very effectively to make sure I can put them in somebody's house at 3 o'clock in the morning and not have to worry about them. And so if you're posting on social media derogatory comments about, you know, someone's race, religion, things like that, that's kind of an insight into maybe how you feel as an individual, and that tells me from an employer standpoint, you're probably not the right person for our organization, because I wouldn't feel comfortable putting you in to a home, because I don't know who's going to be living in that home when they call, right?
Sure. Is it, you know, obviously I would assume that Anaheim has to have a higher standard in order to, you know, accomplish the lofty goals and feats that you have. Is the testing and the requirements standard across all departments? I would say it's very similar. Okay.
I think that not all departments use the extensive background that we do, nor do all departments polygraph. But I think the majority of them do one of the two. And so, you know, I think we may have a benchmark standard of how we go through our process, but I think most fire agencies today are doing something similar.
And it's amazing when you talk to the law enforcement and firefighters, the firemen and women. It's amazing that they still have that, even though, you know, I don't know that you've had the challenges from some of the political arena, as far as, you know, from like we saw where police was really not ostracized, but they were not, our national politicians weren't as thankful as I think they should be for what law enforcement was doing. Do you see that with firefighters as well, or are people still as grateful and appreciative when the firefighters walk in uniform into a restaurant, into a non-emergency situation?
I think they're more receptive to us, and frankly, I think it goes back to the difference in our job. Unfortunately, police officers often have to engage when you're doing something wrong.
Sure.
And so I think they just are under a different perception from some of the general public. I mean, we've all been pulled over and probably got a speeding ticket.
Sure.
So I mean, that's what their job is. Our job is a little bit different in that when you're calling us, it's usually because you want us to come help.
We want you there as opposed to being, feeling it's a nuisance for them.
Yeah. So we see that a lot in public and the reactions, but we have a great relationship with our police department, and we work hand in hand. So we protect each other, and we're in it together.
And it's a lot of fun as an outsider watching the bickering, so to speak, between fire and police. But when it comes down to work time, boy, it's hand in glove.
Yeah, it really is. We love to tease each other and have a lot of fun with each other, and that goes all the way from the chief all the way into the newest firefighter. But yeah, when it's game time,
it's game on.
Then it's game on.
Amazing. And I'm going to say this as I say all the time when we're fortunate enough to have some of the law enforcement or fire people in with us. Say thank you. When you see the men and women out there that are out there putting their lives on the line out there, if you see them in a coffee shop or when they're working, stay out of their way, obviously. But remember, saying thank you is very, very simple. I have a belief, my personal opinion, you see them at a coffee shop, see them at a restaurant, pick up the tab for them. They don't need it, but saying thank you is a wise thing. That's not why they do their job. But it's always, everybody likes to feel appreciated. And these men and women are out there putting it on the line every day. So don't forget about that, because when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you want to call somebody, it's our police, it's our fire that are there showing up, and they're away from their families in many instances. So remember that part of it, and remember to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items that affect your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today, and of course a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.